Chris Lee from Southeastern 14 here with some SEC baseball reaction from the College World Series on Tuesday night. And this was a that's baseball night, in my opinion. Here's what I mean. This game seemed to set up really nicely for Tennessee. I thought Tennessee had the pitching depth in this event to carry it further than did LSU if both of them had a loss, which was the case coming into that game. And let's reset the stage here. Tennessee had Drew Beam, who'd been throwing extremely well lately. And Beam is a little bit home run prone at times, but guess what? The wind was blowing in Omaha to the point where balls that normally would get out were not even getting close to getting out. So I thought everything set up nicely for Tennessee to advance, but that's baseball. And if you've watched the College World Series for a long time, this game came to mind for me. And later I heard the ESPN guys mention the same thing. It was kind of that Michael Roth game in the 2010 World Series where South Carolina had a kid named Michael Roth, who to that point in his career was a nobody. And he ended up throwing I don't remember if it was a complete game shutout, but it was something like that over Clemson to get South Carolina to advance. Carolina goes on to win the whole thing, and Michael Roth's career changed. Well, LSU kind of had a similar situation. I say similar, not exact. Nate Ackenhausen was a kid who a year ago was in JUCO ball. And I remember looking in the draft to see who among SEC teams' signees could go in the draft, and Ackenhausen was a JUCO kid who was mentioned as, I think, as maybe a top 250 prospect by some people. So chance he could go in the first 10 rounds and maybe go pro. He didn't. And so that sets things up for Tuesday night. Ackenhausen takes the mound, and you're thinking maybe if he can give them 3 good shutout innings, that LSU is going to be really happy, given that it was going to be a staff day. Well, Nate Ackenhausen gave LSU that and a lot more. Final line, 6 innings, no earned runs, 7 strikeouts. Riley Cooper comes in, their big lefty, and finishes it off with 3 scoreless innings, 2 hits, and 2 strikeouts. And really the story in this one, I think, was timely hitting and execution. LSU only out-hit Tennessee 8-6. Extra base hits in this one. Dylan Cruz had the only home run. That came late. In fact, it was Tennessee's pitching that was really problematic. The Vols bullpen, which had just been shut it down for so much of the postseason, just didn't do the job. You see Tony Vitello get a little bit of a quick trigger in certain situations. He pulled Beam, I'm not going to say super quickly, but after 90 pitches, went to A.J. Russell, who was pretty good. And then Aaron Combs comes in, hits a couple of batters. Seth Halverson gets pulled in the middle of a count. Camden Sewell didn't have it. Kirby Cannell came in and finished it off. But Tennessee's bullpen was hitting a bunch of guys. And the Vols, in terms of their hitting, just really weren't doing much. They had 2 doubles among their 6 hits, and they were kind of misplaced. In fact, one of the doubles came right after Tennessee hit into a double play. You sequence that a little differently, and maybe it's a ball game at the end, and then it's 3-0 going into the night, and Dylan Cruz hits a 2-run home run to basically put that one away. It was an opposite field shot, again, on a night where a lot of balls aren't leaving the yard, including, I think, one that Cruz might have hit earlier. They had a couple that were hit, I think, deep to right or right center that didn't get out. I don't remember offhand who hit them, but Cruz did get one to right that got out. And look, he's Dylan Cruz. He's the best hitter in the country. That's what he does. But anyway, I think the story in this one for posterity will be Nate Ackenhausen throwing what was by far the longest outing in his LSU career. I think he had started some in JUCO ball, but certainly had given LSU nothing like this. And LSU had to have this because it has now got to beat Wake Forest twice. I don't know when Paul Skeens is going to be available again. That was a talk of conversation last night during the broadcast. Could Skeens be used to close? Never went to the bullpen, so we'll never know. Had that been like a 1-run game, would Jay Johnson have played that differently? I doubt it, but in any case, LSU advances now 50-16. I think LSU is at least the 5th team that has now won 50 games this season. Tennessee's season ends at 44-22, and the Vols pretty loaded for next year too. Beam should be back, among others. A younger lineup that they turned over. A lot of those hitters will be back. I think Hunter Inslee among those guys. Blake Burke should be among the guys that they'll have back. So Tennessee should be in a pretty good spot for next year. And LSU lives to play another day. I think LSU's got a brutally tough task. to beat a Wake Forest team that'll be fresh, that's got tons of pitching, that has got a lineup that some might say is on par with the Tigers. I don't think they've got a Dylan Cruz in there or maybe a Tommy White, but boy, 1-9, that's a pretty tough lineup and just a very, very well-balanced team. It'll be interesting to see who LSU throws on Wednesday. I would think it would be maybe another staff day, but we'll see how they play that. I think they made the decision on who to pitch about 9 o'clock on Tuesday morning. In fact, I think I'd read a thing that said that Ackenhausen got a text that morning from Jay Johnson, and he was sleeping in and didn't answer it till like 11 something. So maybe one of those cases again on Wednesday where whoever it is that takes the ball for the Tigers find out sometime, maybe about the time we're doing this on Wednesday morning. Okay, we've got lots more content coming up. We'll have a recap of LSU and Wake Forest coming up probably Thursday morning, maybe Wednesday night. Of course, Florida's got a game Wednesday, too, against TCU, which advanced by beating Oral Roberts out of the losers bracket. And so Florida up 2-0, Wake up 2-0. Those are the two unbeaten teams left in the tournament, which at this point puts you with a decided advantage if you've got some pitching, which both Wake Forest and Florida do. Also got football content coming up. We're doing a lot of that. We're starting our team previews. I think this week we've come out with East and West preseason power rankings. And so be sure to subscribe and hit those. Hit the like button when you hit those. That helps our analytics. I'm Chris Lee of Southeastern 14. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon with more SEC sports content.